Today, I'm going to be discussing some fundamental concepts in identity and access management in the Azure cloud that I found out that a lot of newbies kind of struggle with or get confused about. And those concepts are going to be the concept of authentication and authorization. So let's get right into it. A tip here. One of the easiest ways to differentiate between these two concepts is this. Authentication is who you are, authorization is what you can do. So yeah, let's jump right into it. In the security world and cloud security, we refer to authentication as auth-n. It's kind of like a short form for authentication, and that is AUTHN. Now, like I mentioned earlier, authentication is basically who you are. Authentication is all about identity verification. It could be verifying the identity of a user, person, a service, or an application. Um, the goal here is for you to clarify to the system that you are who you say you are, or you are what you say you are in the case of applications and services. Now, authentications can be done in a few ways. Traditionally, it will be done with the concept of something you know, and that would be passwords. We all can relate to the fact that whenever you want to log into something or somewhere, you have to use a password, right? But as security became more identity centric, authentication has evolved from only using something you know. It's evolved to using stronger verification methods like something you are. And in this case, something you are will be like your fingerprints, biometrics, your fingerprint, facial ID recognition. That is something you are. So basically, biometrics has also become a form of authentication. And another form of authentication that we've come to leverage in the security world over the years is something you have. And something you have could be a key, a token, shared access signature, right? Something you have, maybe like access key, an access key. Um, an access key, something you have. So these are like kind of like the three major ways that authentication are carried out in our current day. Now let's talk about authorization. Authorization also has a short form which is called auth-z, which is AUTHZ. And just like I said already, authorization is just about what you can do. So authentication is who you are. Here, authentication is who you are, right? That is authentication for you. So now you've authenticated into the environment. You have access to the Azure cloud. But you can't just go in there and do whatever you want, right? You have to be able to given permission to carry out certain actions. That is where authorization comes in. Authorization is basically what you can do. What you can do in my Azure cloud. So I let you in, you're in. But what can you do? Can you create a virtual machine? Can you get access to read the data in my storage accounts? Can you spin up a VNet? Can you create a log analytics workspace? That is authorization. So authorization is the basis on which the concept of role-based access control, RBAC in Azure, is built on. RBAC, role-based access control. That is basically what the fundamental concept behind role-based access control is authorization, which is giving access to a user. And user can be a person, an application, or a service, giving access to them to perform certain actions in your Azure environment. So basically, like I said, authentication, who you are, authorizations, what can you do? A simple example to drive this point home is this. I create a user. Let me, okay, I need to clean this. I need to clean this thing off too. So a simple example to drive this concept home is this, right? I create two users in my environment. User one and user two. And after creating these users and giving them access to my Azure environment, they get into the Azure environment. Now, I want user one to be a network administrator. So I go to my RBAC. I leverage the role-based access control concept. And I assign a network administrator role to user one. And I want user two to be a storage account administrator, right? Or contributor. I assign the storage account contributor role. Storage account contributor role to user two. Okay? So now, both of them are in my Azure cloud. And this right here is a storage account. This is a storage account. User one and user two are both users in my Azure cloud. But because of the difference in permissions, which is basically what they are authorized to do, if user one tries to get access to this storage account, guess what will happen? They'll get an access denied error message. They'll get a message telling them you're not able to perform this particular action. Do you know why? Because they are not authorized. They are not authorized to carry out that particular action, because what I have assigned to them is a network administrator role. And what they can do with the network administrator role is create a VNet, monitor your network and all that. But they cannot perform any read, write, or delete actions on this storage account. The person who can be able to access my storage account at this point in time is user two. He can get into here and play around and mess around with it. So you see that both user one and user two, they are in my Azure environment. Right? And this storage account is also in the same Azure environment. But yet, user two can get access to this storage account. User one cannot get access to this storage account. That is basically the beauty and how authentication and authorization is. So just like I said, the easiest way to have this at the back of your mind is this. The easiest way is to have this at the back of your mind is think of it this way. Authentication is who you are. Authorization is what can you do in the Azure environment. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and follow for more.